everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to dive into the wonderful world of dump meals. These recipes are perfect for those days when you don't have a lot of time but you still want a home cooked meal. And the best part? They use simple ingredients that you probably already have in your pantry. So they're super convenient and save you a lot of time and usually a lot of money. So what exactly is a dump meal? A dump meal means you take all of your ingredients, you dump them into some type of dish, whether it be a crock pot, a casserole dish, or a big fry pan, and it literally cooks in that one dish. Today I'm going to share with you some of my favorite dump meal recipes that are easy to prepare, easy on the wallet, and they're perfect for feeding a family. So let's get started. The first dump meal we're going to talk about is chicken Alfredo. Definitely a go-to, and you will see I kind of just throw things in. So this night I was making a half batch, so that is about a 9x9 casserole dish. I start by taking 1 jar of pre-made Alfredo sauce, dumping that in, and then I filled the jar with some chicken broth and then dumped that into the pan, followed by some spinach. I used about half a bag of frozen spinach. You could also use broccoli if you prefer, and you can put as little or as much as you like that in the casserole. I really like spinach, so I did half of a jar, and it also makes it look really pretty because it adds some little bit of green. So stirring that around, and then some Italian seasoning. You can see I'm not measuring, I'm just shaking. So half a teaspoon-ish of some Italian seasoning, followed by about the same amount of some garlic powder. So just sprinkle that in and put as much or as little as you want. Make sure that it's not garlic salt though. You definitely want it to be garlic powder. We're gonna add the salt separately. So depending on how salty your Alfredo sauce is, you'll want to determine how much salt you put in. So I just put a couple little mini spoons of salt in and then mixed all of that together. And it is really runny at this point because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put dry pasta in. So that's why we need that extra liquid. So I'm doing a half batch. So I did half a bag of 18-ounce penne pasta, and my official method is squeeze the bag in half and pour half of it in. Very, very official. And then we're going to want to tuck that pasta under the liquid. And so I've done that, just making sure that the pasta is below the liquid, and then added some cooked chicken. So I had pre-made this chicken, for food prep for the week, and that's about 2 cups, nice big chunks of chicken. And then I'm tucking that underneath the liquid as well. And then into the oven it goes, and you're gonna just wanna watch this. That pasta is dry, so you may need to add some more chicken broth to make sure that the pasta gets cooked all the way. I did have to add some more. So add the chicken broth and then just stir it up. And you might need to do it a couple of times, but for the most part, this is really hands off. It's just gonna cook in the oven. And then once that pasta is done, a little bit of mozzarella or some type of cheese on top. And at this point, we just leave it in until that is melted. Everything's already cooked. And then once it comes out, it's going to be very, very hot. So you let it sit before you serve it. But then there you have it, the chicken Alfredo with some spinach. This is a great, yummy dinner. Next up is a meatball casserole. The family loves this one. I don't make it quite as often as chicken Alfredo, but we're going to start by taking a 9x13 casserole pan, spray it very generous with some cooking spray. I used some butter spray that time. And then some white bread. We're just going to lay it down. This is going to make our crust, and obviously it's not going to fit perfectly well. So you just kind of make it fit. It's okay that it comes up the side. That's actually good. It kind of is good for the crust idea of it. So put those in. I fit 6 in this casserole dish. So it's really going to depend on the size of your casserole dish and then also what size your bread is. And then feel free to kind of smush that down. It's going to be smushed. It doesn't need to stay fluffy. And then on top of that, a little bit of olive oil and just drizzle that kind of evenly around until it's all coated. Then we're going to put some garlic powder on there, and we're just going to season this. The idea is to make that garlic bread on the bottom. So a generous sprinkle of the garlic, and you'll just want to make sure that it's covering all of that bread. So we have our garlic bread base. Now we're going to add some pre-made meatballs, and you can use whatever kind you want. Just make sure that they're already cooked. These are, well, pre-cooked, but these are frozen meatballs. And then just pour a generous amount. You're going to want to make a nice layer of it, so just keep pouring until you have a sufficient amount. And then you want to arrange them in like a pretty flat layer. So that is my flat-ish layer. You can see the bread is still coming up the side, but that's fine. It's going to cook down, make a really nice crust. And then a jar of marinara, spaghetti sauce, whatever you want. And we're just going to, pour that over those meatballs until it's evenly coated. And we're going to go ahead and do that entire jar. It's going to make a nice sauce for the bread, and it turns out really, really yummy. So the full jar of marinara sauce on there, and then we're going to top it with some mozzarella cheese, and so just evenly sprinkle that on top. Besides the meatballs being frozen, everything is already cooked. There's nothing raw in here, so it's not going to take a tremendous amount of time to cook. So on top of the cheese, we're going to put a little Italian seasoning. And of course, I'm not measuring. I'm just sprinkling it on, making it look like it should. That's probably like half a teaspoon. And then in the oven it goes. And we just want those meatballs to be cooked. And so we're just going to watch it. Once that's done, we have a nice little crust on top of there. And that is basically it. Just set it over to the side so it can cool off just a tad before you serve it. And there you go. There is meatball casserole as our dump meal number 2. For meal number 3, we're going to make some chicken taco soup. This is a great lazy day meal that you put it together and you just let it sit in the crock pot. So starting with the crock pot, I added some pre-cooked chicken, about 2 cups I think I put in that day. And then to that, I'm going to add a bunch of cans of vegetables. So starting with some Rotel type of tomatoes, some diced tomatoes and chilies. I added 2 cans of those to the pot. Those tomatoes and chilies are so great to have on hand. They're very handy. They're very flavorful. So they're great for soups and lots of different things. So, okay, so 2 cans of Rotel's type of tomatoes and then a can of corn. None of this stuff is drained. We're putting the liquid in there because that's going to help make our soup, the broth of it. So the undrained can of corn. And then also to that, we're going to add some black beans, just 1 can of black beans with the liquid in it. Now that we have our canned goods in there, now we need to really add some chicken broth. So that was some chicken stock that I had made recently. So that was about 8 cups of chicken stock. And then I'm just going to add some taco seasoning. That was like 2 good tablespoons of taco seasoning. So that is a good full packet of taco seasoning if you have the packets opposed to like a jar of it. And then you're just going to stir it. And this is pretty much all you're going to do. You don't really need to check on it. Everything's cooked. And then depending on how much time you need it to take, if you're not in a hurry, you can set it on low and you can just let it cook until you're ready to eat it. It could easily cook for 8 hours. It's not going to hurt it. The vegetables that are in there will hold together just fine. The chicken will be just fine. If you need it to cook faster, you could put it on high until it's warmed through. You could even put it on the stove if you were really in a hurry. Everything comes together really good. It's a really nice hearty meal. It's good with some tortilla chips, sour cream, anything you like on a taco soup. So really yummy, good meal. That would be our dump meal number 3, total go-to in my house. There you have it. There are a few dump meal recipes that are going to make your week a lot easier. Give these recipes a try and let me know in the comments below how they turned out. Well, thanks for watching, and until next time, bye!